My love and thanks to all who have helped bring the bill through these 10 years. Fred, a few of these treasured volunteers will be playing with you today. On behalf of us all, thank you for BBO and welcome back to the bill. I will hand over now to Event Host 1, Coordinator for the Bill Special Event Team, to make the official introductions. Thank you, Joan.
Thank you, Maureen, and welcome everyone to the start of the Bill's 10th anniversary celebration. What better way to kick off the party than with BBO's own Fred Gitelman. Whoops. Fred is the CEO, founder of Bridge-Based Online, BBO, which he began in 2001, and it has become one of the most popular bridge sites and houses our wonderful Bill. Fred is also a leading American bridge player. He has won a World Bridge Championship, 5 North American Bridge Championships, a gold medal in the 2002 IOC Grand Prix, and was runner-up in the 1995 Bermuda Bowl. In 2005, he was selected as the International Bridge Press Association's Personality of the Year and the ACBL Honorary Member of the Year. Fred has his roots in Toronto, Canada, but now resides in Las Vegas, Nevada with his wife Sherry, also a well-known bridge player. It would take most of the 2 hours to tell all of Fred's accomplishments, but it gives me great pleasure in welcoming Fred Gitelman to the Bill today. Let's give Bill a big Bill welcome to Fred Gitelman. Now, Fred, if we were all on BBO audio, you'd hear the roar of the applause about now. Before I turn it over to Event Host 4 to make a few housekeeping announcements, I'd like to introduce the first of our Bill volunteers who are sitting at the table. Alan Rick in Germany, Bill on Facebook, Anne Ba, Scotland, Tournament Director and Mentor, and Chatter One, Scotland, Tournament Director, and of course, Fred. Barbara, it's over to you.
Thank you, Joan, and hi, everyone. My name is Beth, and I will be your event host for today. Welcome to Thinking with Fred. Wasn't it nice to hear Maureen? This was her first audio broadcast. Well done, Maureen. The players today are some of our wonderful volunteers from around the world. The time they donate makes it possible for the Bill to provide all the daily activities and special events. Today we are using random hands. Fred will not be able to see all the hands. Fred will chat about the hand as it is being played, then we'll sum up the bidding and play when completed. Players and kids will have the opportunity to ask questions when Fred has finished summing up each hand. Have your questions ready to send to the table when you're invited to do so. We suggest you have an open Word document to note questions so that they are ready to copy and paste to the table when Fred asks for them. Please do not send private messages to Fred or to the players. They're trying to concentrate on the hands. If you have any questions regarding the audio, please private chat Event Host 1 or Event Host 4. Please do not chat to the table unless asked to. So all that being said, toilet is round to the right if anybody needs it. Take it away, Fred.
Hi, everyone. I'm having a bit of technical trouble. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Fred.
Okay, great. Well, welcome to special 10th anniversary Think with Fred session. Congratulations to Maureen for doing this for 10 years. It's really wonderful that she's introduced, I would think, thousands of bridge players to our game in a friendly and hospitable environment, taught them that the game can be fun and welcoming and intellectually challenging. And I hear from people all the time saying, how much they love bridge and that Maureen has played a big part in that. So thank you, Maureen. Thanks to all of your volunteers. I don't know if it's been explained already what we're going to do today. We're going to play some bridge. I am going to be sitting south, I guess north actually, on all the hands. I can't see the other people's hands, and I'm going to try to think out loud, so hopefully you can get a better idea of what goes through the mind of a supposed expert bridge player when he's playing the game. A few things to look out for. One is you probably at some point will hear me say something that's completely wrong, if not completely stupid. Hopefully that will give you some reassurance that even the best players sometimes do really dumb things, and hopefully that'll make you feel a little bit better when you inevitably make a mistake. By the same token, I hope the other players don't get nervous, even if they make a mistake. I'll certainly be gentle in my commentary, and as I just said, even the very best players sometimes do dumb things. In terms of what I'm actually thinking about, one persistent theme I think you'll find is that during the play and the defense, I'm frequently counting mentally in my head how many high card points people have, the distribution of the unseen hands, and you'll see that as the hand progresses towards the end, this information will help me make decisions, and sometimes I'll almost be able to play as if I can see all the cards, only because I've been paying attention. Now you'll see that this sort of reasoning is not particularly complicated. In most cases, the math doesn't involve adding or subtracting numbers that are any bigger than 13, but it's just something that if you can discipline yourself to do it on every hand, your game will improve dramatically. It's perhaps the single most important skill in bridge in terms of becoming an advanced player. In terms of the bidding, I'm going to assume that we're all playing sort of a simple standard version of bidding, American style with 5-card majors and strong no trump. I'm certainly not going to assume any fancy conventions or anything like that. I may at some point mention that a particular hand is suitable for a particular convention, but you should know in advance that I'm not really one of those people that believes that beginning and intermediate players should be learning a lot of different conventions, that there's a lot more important things you have to master first before you get into having a really sophisticated bidding system. So in general, I'll try to keep the bidding simple. Hopefully my partners will understand my bids that way, and hopefully you'll see that it is possible to bid effectively, even if the bidding is relatively simple and not full of artificial bids. All right, well, that's really all I have to say for now. So let's get started on first board. As I'm sure those in the audience can see, I've got 12 high card points. So since I'm the dealer, most of you would think that this is probably an automatic opening bid. And to tell you the truth, I think just about everyone in the world would open the bidding with this hand. Now, let me just say that, as some of you may have learned already, high card points are only a very rough guide to the value of a hand. And this particular 12 high card point hand is not a very good hand, as 12 high card point hands go. One of the reasons for this is that my distribution is relatively flat. I do have a 5-card major, but I'm as balanced as you can possibly be, given that I have a 5-card suit. And half of my points are made up of queens and jacks, which tend to be overvalued in the 4-3-2-1 point count. Aces and kings tend to be worth more than their respective point counts. Another weak sign about my hand is that my heart spots are very poor. So, I don't have any strong convictions that the right bridge move is to open the bidding with this hand, but since it does seem like a pretty normal thing, I am going to open one heart, and we'll take it from there. All right, well, this is not a difficult problem at all, unless one no trump is a forcing one no trump. I am certainly going to pass. I have as bad a hand as I could possibly have, and I'm balanced, very no-Trump oriented. And I have to say that even if you're playing one no-Trump forcing here, my instinct would be, I really wish I wasn't playing one no-Trump forcing, because it's so likely that one no-Trump is the correct contract. So I'm going to pass. It'll probably end the auction, and hopefully my partner will be able to win 7 tricks. Now that's an interesting development. 2 hearts is kind of an unusual bid in that it's a bit of my suit. I think we should be thinking about what 2 hearts means exactly. Now, you may be familiar with something like the Michael's Q-bid convention. So if Chatter had bid 2 hearts directly over my 1 heart, if you play Michael's Q-bids, which are very common, that would be a hand with at least 5 spades, a 5-card minor at least, and some number of high card points, not a complete bust. How many high card points depends to some extent on exactly how distributional you are, the vulnerability, how aggressively you and your partner bid. What does 2 hearts mean here? Now, I guess it's possible that Chatter is thinking that this is like a delayed Michael's bid, perhaps with the same kind of distribution and not enough values to bid the first time, or perhaps 2 hearts really means I have hearts. Now, you don't see very often situations where you volunteer to play in the suit that the opponents have opened, but if I was Chatter's partner, I would give serious consideration to the possibility that my partner actually had hearts. Now, from Alan Rick's point of view, even though I can't see his hand, I can tell you how he can figure out what his partner is doing. Alan Rick, all he needs to do is look at his own heart holding. If Alan Rick has a very small number of hearts, he knows that 2 hearts is a natural bid. That's because, presumably, Anba doesn't have very many hearts. She would have raised at some point. Presumably, I don't have a lot of hearts because I would have rebid 2 hearts over 1 no Trump. So if Alan has, for example, a singleton or a doubleton heart, he knows that his partner is trying to, make a natural bid in hearts, as strange as that seems. If, on the other hand, Alan Rick has, say, 4 or 5 hearts, he knows that there aren't enough hearts in the deck for his partner to be making a natural bid. So he'll know from his hand in that case that Chatter is intending his bid. I'm sorry if it's her bid, but I don't know who is what gender here, as some kind of a takeout bid, perhaps the delayed Michael's concept that I discussed. So I guess the lesson here is that even if you don't know what your partner's bids mean, there are some cases that you can figure it out just by looking at your own hand. And this is about as good an example of that principle as you're ever likely to find. Alan Rick has few hearts. He knows his partner has hearts. If Alan Rick has a lot of hearts, he knows that his partner doesn't have hearts. So this is pretty interesting. Of course, I'm going to pass. I'm kind of happy that they're playing in my best suit, and I certainly have no reason to think that we're going to win 6 tricks on defense, so I'm not doubling this contract. So it looks like Alan did something smart here, that he figured out, as I suggested, that his partner's heart bid was actually based on hearts. Good pass by Alan. So, assuming that we're playing standard leads on defense, my partner's Jack of Clubs lead has denied the Queen, so I'm obviously not going to play my King here, but I'm going to start, developing a mental picture of what the outstanding cards' hands look like. So one thing I know is Declare as the Queen of Clubs, and it looks like Declare probably started with a singleton club. Okay, now in terms of what heart I should play, I'm certainly going to play a small heart here that, it's possible my partner has a decent-sized singleton like the 10 or even the King, case, it's not going to help me to split my heart honors here. I am going to come to, at least one heart trick eventually, and it isn't going to help me to, whether I split my hearts or not, but I don't want to, crash something that might be in my partner's hand. Okay, so it's starting to look like Declare has 6 hearts to the ace, king, 10. Maybe Declare would have done better by playing the 10 of hearts here. Not clear that that would be the right play, just looking at the 2 hands that chatter can see. But now you can see that it wouldn't have worked very well if I played the queen or jack of hearts. I am going to get 2 trump tricks now with my queen and jack, and I wouldn't have had I split my honors. Okay, now I should be paying attention to my partner's discard. The 4 of diamonds discard suggests that my partner doesn't like diamonds very much, assuming that we're playing, standard signals, and that's a low diamond. Now, I could sort of tell that my partner didn't like diamonds very much because I can see the ace and the king and the queen, but still, it's good to remember these things. Now, from this trick, I can tell that Declare has the king of spades, because if partner had the ace-king, not only would she have probably led the suit, but she would have won the queen with the king, her lower card, and not the ace. So I'm hoping my partner will play a diamond here, but it may not be so easy for her to figure that out. Good job, partner. That's exactly the kind of card I wanted to see. Otherwise, there was a danger that Declare might be able to set up the 4th spade and discard a diamond loser. Now the entry to the spades is gone, so that danger is also eliminated. Now, I do know something about the distribution of the spades. Presumably, my partner doesn't have 4 cards in spades, because if Anne had 4 spades, she would have, presumably bid 1 spade over my 1 heart. So I know that Declare either started with 4 spades, in which case my partner has 2, or 3 spades, in which case the suit was, 4 triple 3 around the table. So, assuming I was right about Declare's play at trick 1, distribution is either 3 spades, 6 hearts, 3 diamonds, and 1 club, or 4 spades, 6 hearts, 2 diamonds, and 1 club. So what I want to do now, just in case Declare started with 4 spades, is make Declare rough so that Declare will run out of trumps before it's possible to win a trick with the long spade. So it doesn't really matter the order I play my minors here. Okay, so now I know Declare's exact distribution. And I know that Declare is not going to be able to get a trick with the long spade because Declare will run out of trumps first. It doesn't really matter if I cash my queen of hearts or not. I'm going to get the last 2 tricks. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting hand all along. Both the bidding was interesting, and I think the inferences that I was able to draw from the play were also interesting. We were able to get an exact count on Declare's hand, and that made the defense pretty easy. Okay, I'm not sure of the exact procedure that we should be following at the end of the hand. Maureen did send me an email about that, and she described it very carefully, and I actually read the email a couple of times, but I have to admit I'm sort of hopeless when it comes to instructions. I think, one thing I should say is on the last hand, very well done by Chatter and Alan Rick in the bidding. Chatter, that was smart that you bid 2 hearts natural, and it was smart that Alan figured it out. That's a weird bid that probably many people in the audience have never seen before. And here we have a non-partnership. I assume they're a non-partnership, that we're on the same wavelength about a weird bid. So, that's really something that's quite impressive. In terms of the play, I think Chatter could have made the contract, as it turned out, by finessing against my Jack of Spades at the time, at the time the lead was in dummy with the Ace of Diamonds. That probably was the percentage play in the suit. Her play would have worked if there was a doubleton Jack of Spades, whereas the finesse will work, if I have either a doubleton Jack of Spades or Jack third of Spades. Might even keep the contract in play if I started with 4 spades, but that's kind of unlikely. Yeah, questions are definitely welcome. Please send them by text chat. Oh, and also nice diamond shift by my partner there. Thank you, Anba. That was, made the defense easier for me. Yeah, to finesse in spades, well, it was reasonable to start by leading a high spade, but when my partner led the Jack of Diamonds and dummy won the ace, you can take a spade finesse by leading the 10 or 9, and assuming I play low from your hand. And, if I cover the 10 or 9 with my Jack, then all the spades would have been good. So it's not that the play that, was made by Declare was doomed to fail. It could well have worked. It's just that, the expert players will be familiar with a lot of suit combinations like these and know what the best percentage play for various numbers of tricks are. And in this particular case, I happen to know that the percentage play is to take the finesse. It turns out that the percentage play actually worked on this deal. Now, the nature of percentage plays is they don't always work. They just work more often than non-percentage plays. So it's not that Chatter's play was hopeless or doomed to fail. It just was, slightly inferior on this particular hand, the percentage play would have got Chatter home in the 2-heart contract. Yeah, that's a good question by Eleanor. I mentioned that my 12 high card point hand wasn't a particularly good 12 high card point hand, and yes, the fact that I had no aces is certainly a bad sign. I think what I mentioned was that I had a lot of queens and jacks, that half of my high cards were in queens and jacks. That's sort of a corollary to, not having very many aces in a way. So, having lower honors in general is not as good as having higher ones. Question about what about a double after 1 heart instead of pass? Another good question. I don't think that would have been a very good call because, the Chatter's hand did not have the right distribution for a takeout double. Typically, unless you have a very large number of points, when you make a takeout double, you're supposed to have at least, reasonable support for all of the unbid suits. And here, Chatter only had 3 cards combined in the minors. So, a takeout double might work well if your partner happens to bid spades, but if your partner doesn't bid spades, you're not going to be very happy at all. And, and your partner will, bid their longest suit here, and there's no guarantee at all that their longest suit is spades. So I think Chatter's bidding really was excellent to pass the first time, and then to, make the strange 2-heart bid the second time. Okay, Anne made an interesting question too, that perhaps she could have bid 2-no trump for the minors at her second turn. Now, again, this would be a case of an undiscussed convention that perhaps, just from a logical point of view, I should figure out that this must be for the minors. So, it is a possible bid. There are a couple of dangers to the 2-no trump bid. I mean, one is that perhaps me as her partner might not understand the bid as it was meant. The other danger is that there are some warning signs that this is a misfit hand. Anne knows that almost certainly there are 11 hearts between, my hand and Chatter's hand, which means that Alan Rick also has heart shortness, and the shorter that Alan Rick is in hearts, the more length Alan Rick rates to have in the other suits, which include the minors. So there is some danger that even if we have an 8-card fit in one of the minors, the trumps are going to break badly. Now, I don't think it's realistic to hope that we have a 9-card fit in one of the minors from Anne's point of view, because if I had a 4-card minor, I wouldn't have passed 1 no trump. I would have rebid 2 of my minor. So, all in all, I don't think 2 no trump by Anne would have been a very well-judged bid. I think her pass was indicated. Well done on that front, Anne, and interesting thought, but, I think your pass was the right call. A question about what if you play don't. Well, as I understand it, don't is a convention that applies when the opponents open the bidding with 1 no trump. So it wouldn't apply on this hand. Now, it's possible there's some variation of don't that applies in this situation that I'm not familiar with. So if that is the case, I'm sorry, but I can't really help you by answering your question because I don't know how don't applies in this auction. Okay, should we go on to the next hand then? And hello, John, my new partner, and hello to my new opponents. Welcome and thanks for your help as volunteers. So here I've got a very no trump looking hand. If it gets passed around to me, I'm certainly going to open 1 no trump with my balanced 15 count. If Karen opens the bidding, however, not so clear to overcall 1 no trump, even if the hand falls into your range. Once again, I don't really like my hand as 15-point balanced hands go. The Queen Jack Doubleton of clubs is a very uncertain value, and there's really nothing special about my hand. The only thing that makes this hand sort of, anywhere near above average in any sense is that I, have some reasonable spot cards, the 10 of diamonds and, the 9, 7 of spades and the 8 of hearts. But once you get down to counting your 9s and 8s and 7s, you're sort of getting a little bit desperate. Now, Karen has opened 1 no trump, so if we played penalty doubles here, something I'm not sure we do because I don't know what our defense to 1 no trump is, it's conceivable I could double, but again, I don't really think that's very smart because I don't consider this a particularly good hand. There are 15-point hands with which I would make a penalty double of 1 no trump, assuming I was playing doubles penalty, but this is not one of them. So I'm just going to pass and we'll take it from here. I'll probably end up defending. Had Karen opened 1 of a suit, I might have thought about, overcalling 1 no trump. Again, that would be sort of a questionable choice because it is a pretty ugly hand I have, and we do happen to be vulnerable and I'm facing a past partner. So I really wouldn't be happy if it went something and I had overcalled 1 no trump and it had gone double, pass, pass, pass. I mean, that would probably be the end of the world. So, I would look for another alternative, if Karen had opened 1 of a suit. Okay, so my turn to lead, and this is one miserable hand to lead from, I have to say. Any suit could be right, and any suit could be a complete disaster. Now, as a general rule against no trump contracts, one would try to lead suits that will rate to develop tricks for your side. So you typically lead your long suits, and if it's close between 2 suits, you would typically favor a major over a minor on the theory that, the opponents made no attempt to play in 2 of a major. So, it's not at all likely that Gut has, say, a 5-card heart suit or a 5-card spade suit, because Gut would have presumably transferred in that case, but, Gut may well have a 5-card minor. Similarly, there's some hands that Karen might not open one no trump with a 5-card major, but certainly, Karen will be opening one no trump with a 5-card minor. So if I wanted to choose just between hearts and diamonds, the fact that hearts is a major would, steer me towards hearts. Now, it turns out that I have a lot of points, and that sort of changes considerations. There's a very good chance that any honor that I lead away from is going to blow a trick. And I'm actually thinking here that I'm going to make sort of an unusual lead by leading a club, even though clubs is my shortest suit. The reason is that I have a sequence in clubs, and it's harder to blow a trick in a suit in which you have like a sequence like that. Now, it may be the case that, clubs is a suit that Karen and Good have a lot of cards in, but it's not that I'm going to be helping them do something that they couldn't do themselves, most likely at least. So, I don't have any strong feelings that this is going to be the winning lead, but my instincts as a bridge player tell me that I'm going to lead a club, and I think that's our best chance to at least not blow any tricks. So let's see how it turns out. Well, the look of dummy makes me think that I didn't strike gold for sure in partner's hand, but I also know that I'm not helping Declare do anything that Declare couldn't have done themselves or herself. Whereas a heart lead, if Declare has the ace-jack, I really don't want to be leading a heart. Diamond lead looks like from the side of the dummy, it might have worked out okay. Probably would only blow a trick if Declare has something like 4 to the king 9. Something, or maybe 5 to the king 9, then it would be really bad. But, here I'm just sort of going passive. It looks like dummy has certainly a better hand than John. I can tell that just by counting the points. Even if Karen has a minimum one no trump of 15 points, add my 15 points to that, you get 30, and there's 5, 6, 7 points in the dummy, so at most John has 3 high card points. So it doesn't look very likely I'm going to beat one no trump. Not likely at all, and really what I'm going to try to do is just hold down the over tricks. So it's sort of important early in the hand to get some kind of picture of, how many points you think everyone has, ideally roughly what you think people's distributions are, and, set a goal for yourself. Is it realistic to think you can beat the contract? And if not, then you decide, all right, I'm going to try to hold the over tricks down. So Karen at this point is probably very happy to have received a club lead, and she doesn't know, of course, that I only started with a Doubleton club and that the clubs were friendly for her all along, and that, I haven't really given her anything that she couldn't get herself. Okay, and she's continuing clubs. So one thing that tells me is Karen probably doesn't have a long diamond suit headed by the king. If so, she probably would have taken advantage of the opportunity to be in her hand to lead towards dummy's diamonds. So, based on high cards, Karen almost certainly has the king of diamonds, because I know my partner has 3 points at the most. But at the same time, Karen probably doesn't have that many diamonds, because she would be playing on the suit herself. So I'm guessing that at most Karen has 3 diamonds. The way the clubs are falling, it's starting to look like Karen had 4 clubs. And now I have to make a discard. So, I think, the main choices here are probably between, any suit actually could be right. And it's probably a very complicated bridge problem to try to figure out what the best discard is. My sense is, it's rather important at this point if I know who has the jack of hearts, which I can't possibly know. I do know Karen has the ace of hearts. If I knew my partner had the jack, I would be inclined to hold on to all of my hearts and to, when I get on lead, play a heart and try to set up heart tricks for us. So, I think instead I'm going to just take a position that Declare has the Jack of Hearts, and I'm going to, give up on trying to set up heart tricks, and I will pitch a heart instead and, keep my heart stoppers and hope that I can eventually get a long trick in diamonds. Here it's not so important that I signal honestly because my partner has nothing, and I don't really need to tell my partner anything because my partner, in all likelihood, is not going to be getting on lead anytime soon, if at all. And signaling is really going to only help Declare. So, I'm not going to say I love hearts or anything because I don't want to warn Declare about where the honors in that suit are, and my partner probably just doesn't care. So maybe I'll learn something. My partner, should be giving me some kind of helpful signal, I hope. My partner knows, or should know, if my partner is paying attention, that I have a lot of points and that, I may have some trouble picturing the hand. And, hopefully John will, play a card that will, all right, John likes spades. How about that? Okay, so I think John probably has the queen of spades because based on my high card point count, John can't have the ace. So it looks like here, now the 10 of spades becomes an important card. And I sort of have to decide, do I want to play John for it or not? And my instinct is that may not matter that much what I do here. I think it looks right to, sort of probably continue with my original plan and, try to set up a diamond trick for myself. I really can't stop Declare from getting 2 more diamond tricks and, the ace of hearts and the ace of spades. So, but at the same time, I may be able to get another diamond. However, it gets a little bit complicated. I may be having some trouble getting out of my own way towards the end of the hand now that I think about it. So I think, on second thought, I'm going to discard a diamond, hope Declare doesn't have 4 cards in that suit, and I'll play my partner for the queen 10 of spades, hope my partner can eventually get on lead to play hearts through, Declare's jack that I'm presuming Declare has, which she may not have, but we'll see. All right, so Declare is playing on hearts now, and I'm not going to let Declare get a heart trick, undeserved heart trick with the 10 in case Declare is the ace jack, so I'm certainly going to win this. Okay, and it looks now from partner's 9 of hearts that Declare probably started with 4-card heart suit. So if I had to guess at this point, I would guess that Declare's distribution originally was 2 spades, 4 hearts, 3 diamonds, and 4 clubs. I think that Declare has 3 diamonds because if Declare only had a doubleton diamond, she probably would have, set up the diamonds while there was still entry to the dummy. Now, I could be wrong about that. I think I am playing my partner for the queen 10 of spades, and in order to simplify the hand from my partner's point of view, I'm going to just lead the king of spades out of my hand and just let my partner sort of know that, the spades are all setting up. Probably isn't strictly necessary, but, it may bring a happy glow to my partner's face. So let's try that. Also a mildly deceptive play. Declare may think that I've got the queen of spades and that the jack is set upable. I really hope my partner's got the queen 10 for the spade discard. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to take the ace of diamonds, and we're just going to try to get as many spade tricks as we can, I guess. Although, hang on. Let me just think about this for a minute. All right. Well, my partner's remaining spades at most are 3. declarer has to have at least a doubleton spade for the 1-no trump, and my partner has already discarded a spade. My partner started with 5 spades at the most to begin with, and has played 2 spades, so my partner has 3 spades left. So I guess it really can't hurt to duck this trick. So I'm going to do that, and I don't think it can hurt, probably doesn't matter at all, but I'm going to let declare have this. It's not like we're taking the rest of the tricks or anything. So, all right, so my partner played high-low and diamonds, which suggests that if we're playing standard signals, declare may have made a mistake here by not playing diamonds earlier. Now, I really hope my partner's got the 10 of spades. Uh-oh, not good. So, came somewhat close to figuring out the hand. And what it really all came down to was that 10 of spades. And there is that 10 of spades. Now, I think, overall the defense was okay. I might have been better off leading a diamond originally. But at least I didn't lead a heart. That would have, given up a trick immediately. So pretty interesting hand, and you can see that, I was on defense, able to come up with a pretty good picture of the hand. My partner signaling certainly helped, and drawing inferences from declarer's play helped. Although I did make one mistake in that I didn't get the diamond distribution right, because declare, I think with the actual hand, might well have played diamonds earlier so that the diamond winners and dummy wouldn't get stranded. Yeah, it looks like, as it turns out, that declare can always make 9 tricks here, no matter what I lead. John, your signaling was good. It definitely helped me, make the best of a bad situation, so thank you. Excellent question there about opening 1-no trump with a 5-card major. My personal view is that if you have 15 or 16 points and a 5-3-3-2 hand, you should almost always do it. If you have 17 points, I would normally recommend opening one of your major, and if partner bids 1-no trump, to bid 2-no trump. So that's my thinking. There may be some exceptional hands with 15 or 16 points. For example, if your suit is ace, king, queen, jack, 10 or something, that you may choose to open one of the major, but you won't go far wrong if you always open 1-no trump with the 5-3-3-2 hands that are in range. If you have some 5-4-2-2 hand, normally you're going to be better off opening one of the major. That is really, though, it's more of a matter of opinion than a matter of right or wrong. There's some very good teachers and some very good players who do not advocate opening 1-no trump with a 5-card major. So it's something that you and your partner should decide, and, whatever makes you comfortable is okay. That my opinion happens to be that you should normally open 1-no trump. If you feel otherwise, then go ahead and do what you think is right. Just make sure your partner knows. Okay, so if we are out of questions, let's move on to the next hand. One thing I can tell you, Maureen did ask me to use the text chat, if I had particularly important things I wanted to say so that they could have a transcript of that. I'm sorry I haven't been able to do that so far. It's kind of difficult to, play bridge and talk at the same time, let alone type at the same time. But I can tell you that one of our staff members is recording this. And so I think you will have, you'll be able to get a video transcript of the lecture, which hopefully will be even better than a, typed transcript. All right, so I'm ready for hand 3. Hello, new partner, and hello, new opponents. All right, well, it's nice for a change to actually have a good hand for my point count. As far as 9-point hands go, I like this one. One of the reasons is that I have two aces. Another reason is that I have good distribution. 6-4 hands are good hands. And I also happen to have my points in my longest suits. All right, now, is my hand good enough to bid 2 hearts? Now, if we were playing 2 over 1 is forcing the game, which is a pretty popular system nowadays, my hand would not really be good enough to bid 2 hearts because, although I have a nice hand, I'm not strong enough to force the game opposite an opening bid. If 2 hearts is not forcing the game, then it's borderline, and I think I probably would stretch and bid 2 hearts, even though I'm probably supposed to have about 10 high card points to do that. Now, how do things change when first D doubles? I guess I probably am not quite strong enough to redouble. Technically, you're supposed to have about 10 points for that. I only have 9. I wouldn't worry about that so much, but I do have a pretty distributional hand, whereas redouble is best bid on, balanced hands. The message of the redouble being, I think we should maybe be defending a doubled contract. Here, of course, I'd be happy to defend a doubled contract in hearts, but I don't think the opponents are going to end up in hearts. And, maybe I could defend 2 clubs doubled, but unless partner doubles 2 diamonds, let's say it goes double, I redouble, and IE land 2006 bids 2 diamonds, passed around to me. Well, I'm certainly not going to double that with only a doubleton and diamonds, and if I redouble and then bid 2 hearts, that's a forcing bid, which is somewhat of an overbid for my hand. So I think what I'm going to do is just bid 2 hearts myself here, and get my heart suit off my chest. I think for most people who play standard bidding, this isn't a very commonly discussed situation, but, 2 hearts by most is considered a non-forcing bid, at least in the United States. So, I know that first D has advertised some heart length with the takeout double, but I think my hand and my hearts are good enough that even if partner has a singleton heart, I don't mind playing in 2 hearts. So, I'm going to bid 2 hearts, no guarantee of success, but it sort of seems like a normal bid. I would say my hand is fairly close to prototypical for this bid, maybe a little bit less in high cards and slightly better hearts. So if I had the same kind of hand with, say, the Queen of Hearts instead of the Ace of Clubs, it would be a textbook 2-heart bid over a takeout double. Okay, so not clear here if my partner's 2-no trump bid, what it should suggest, and also if partner understands what my 2-heart bid means. There's sort of, these things are tied together. So if partner reads my 2 hearts as a non-forcing bid, then 2-no trump should suggest extra high card points, because with a minimum hand, partner should just pass 2 hearts. You don't, run from when I've shown a long suit to no trump. So, however, if partner thinks my 2 hearts is a forcing bid, 2-no trump might just suggest that my partner doesn't like hearts very much. So I'm in kind of a difficult position here because I don't know how my partner has read my bid. If I think my partner knows what I'm doing, I have a pretty good hand because I certainly could have had less than 9 points for this bid. If that's the case, I should probably insist on some kind of game contract. If my partner has a weak hand, however, and thought that the 2-no trump bid was forced because 2 hearts was forcing, now I'm in a bit of trouble because I don't really want to bid my clubs out of fear that partner might think that's forcing as well. I probably would bid 3 hearts if I, thought we might be having a bidding misunderstanding, just because I don't have a no trump hand, and it doesn't sound like 3 hearts is a forcing bid. So, I'm not really sure about this, but it feels to me like it's most likely that partner doesn't read my two heart bid the same way I intended it. So I don't think partner has a particularly good hand here, even though in theory perhaps Tuno Trump should be a good hand. In practice, I don't think here it likely is. So I'm going to bail out of Tuno Trump and hope that three hearts is a better contract than Tuno Trump. No guarantees, but my judgment suggests that that will be the case. Could be a disaster. I sort of feel bad for my partner that, presumably Critter is not sure whatever, Critter might think is going on is not completely sure, and bridge can be a little bit scary when you're playing in front of a lot of people and you don't know what the bids mean. But, I think three hearts didn't sound forcing. If I wanted to force, I would have bid something else. So I haven't seen Critter's hand yet, but I suspect that the pass was probably a smart bid. Okay, so I was right, I guess, in that partner, wanted to just play in Tuno Trump as opposed to making a forward-going bid. I don't like my chances here very much. It would have been better from my point of view if partner had more strength in the minors and less strength in spades. But what can you do? I just sort of got to make the best of a bad situation. In retrospect, I do wish that I had either redoubled or passed the first time, as it looks like the opponents probably don't have any great place to play. So I'm probably, not going to make three hearts, and, I'll do the best I can. Let's see what happens. I guess I have a bit of an issue here at trick one. If the 8 of diamonds is a doubleton, maybe I should be covering with the 9 because it might be better for me if Firsty has ace, king, jack 10, small of diamonds, that IE land can't lead the suit again. So I guess I'm going to do that. The whole thing isn't very happy. I guess one thing I can be happy with is I'm not vulnerable. So I'm going to play the 9 here. Okay, so if the jack of diamonds is an honest card, it means that the 10 of diamonds is in East's hand, because Firsty presumably would have played the 10 if Firsty had the 10. You may have noticed there that I played the 6 of diamonds instead of the 3. Can't really hurt in situations like this to sort of mix it up with your spot cards. Sometimes that makes it harder for the defenders to know what's going on. I do a lot of that, and you might notice. I won't mention it every time. Okay, now, heart shift, looks good for the defense because it probably hasn't given up anything. If the hearts are 3-3, I'm only going to lose 2 heart tricks, but I still have all kinds of problems. Maybe the best thing for me to do here is to go up with the ace of hearts and get rid of my diamond on the high spades and hope that that East has the king of clubs so that I can somehow, hold my club losers to 1. So maybe I can lose, 1 club, 2 hearts, and, 1 diamond because I'm going to get rid of my diamonds. Now, I'm not exactly optimistic that this is going to work, but it may be worth a try that, perhaps I will get lucky and make my not very happy contract. So let's see what happens. Okay, that 7 of hearts is sort of an interesting card. More about that in a second. Okay, now I could play another high spade and get rid of one of my clubs, but I don't think that's a very good play. For one thing, my 13th club may not be a loser. That my whole play is sort of predicated on playing clubs for hopefully somehow. It's not very likely that the king of clubs is with East. So if that's the case, I'll be able to get back to the dummy later, and if I need a club discard, I can do it later. The danger of playing the queen of spades is that, the opponents are going to start running out of spades, and, when that happens, now they'll start to be able to, play more spades for each other to ruff, and I may lose a trump promotion or something like that. So, I think what I want to do is to, come back to my hand, and continue to try to draw trump. I'm actually going to do it with the ace of clubs because I am in danger here of running out of trumps. So I really am not too inclined to rough myself down if I don't need to. Okay, now back to that 7 of hearts. If it turns out that the 7 of hearts was from 10-7 doubleton, I'm going to be able to avoid losing 3 more trump tricks by leading the jack of hearts now. If it turns out that the 7 of hearts was from king 7 or queen 7, then there's nothing I can do. I just have 3 trump losers. If it turns out that the trumps are 3-3, well, it hopefully doesn't matter what I do. So it looks like it's probably a no-lose play for me to lead the jack of hearts and hope that the 7 was from 10-7 doubleton. I'm not exactly confident it's going to work. One good thing about it, though, is that the more points that Firsty has that aren't in clubs, the more likely that my dream of the king of clubs being with Leyland, I guess Leyland is the name, might happen. So, maybe there's 2 things going for me with leading the jack of hearts here, that if the 10 does fall under it and Firsty does have the king-queen, then my chances in the club suit become a little bit better. So, maybe I'll get lucky. Let's see. Watching the spot cards is kind of important, that if I wasn't, paying attention to dummies, singleton heart, the size of it being the 9, the 7 of hearts, I wouldn't have had this chance. Not that it looks like this chance is working anyways. But here we go. Let's see what happens from here. Alright. I think it's pretty likely that I'm going down from this point. Possibly more than 1 trick. Yeah, I could well run out of trumps here. However, I do have a chance to make my contract, as unlikely as it may seem. I don't feel like it's going to work, but I'm going to try it nonetheless. I do think it's likely that hearts are 4-2, and I'm probably going down more than 1. Well, that's nice. So I'm still alive, barely alive. Unfortunately, I'm not feeling very good about the king of clubs, but let's see what happens. So, well, do I have any other alternatives here? Well, I mean, I'm going to lead a club. Do I get lucky? Yay! And dummy has a 3 queens ending, which you don't score any points for, but it makes bridge more fun. So, alright, so that probably worked out better than I deserved. All right, so there you go. Any questions from the audience there? Okay, about the bidding. Okay, redouble of a takeout double shows, typically 10 or more points, but that doesn't mean necessarily that if you fail to redouble, you deny 10 or more points. Modern thinking in this area is that if you have a distributional hand, you should normally be bidding over the over the takeout double, sometimes even when you have 10 or more points. And the sort of modern standard is that a new suit at the 1 level would be forcing, a new suit at the 2 level would be non-forcing. So in this particular case, if you happen to know all of that which I just said, and I'm not saying that this is universally standard, it's sort of just what the experts in America play, 2 hearts probably would be less than, if 2 hearts is non-forcing, it's less than 10 points. So in this case, it would be different if it went 1 club double, because now I could bid 1 heart, with more than 10 points, because it's at the 1 level, the new suit is forcing, but at the 2 level, it's non-forcing. Now, this isn't a universal way to play. There are those that play that the 2-level bids are forcing as well. But as far as I can tell, in America at least, the most common agreement to have for serious partnerships is that a 1-level bid of a new suit is forcing, a 2-level bid of the new suit is non-forcing. I think that if Critter reads my 2 hearts as non-forcing, Critter should pass 2 hearts, because I'm not going to be suggesting 2 hearts as a final contract here unless I have, at least a 6-card suit. The reason being is that firstie will usually have heart length for the takeout double. My partner hasn't promised any heart length and will often have a singleton or maybe even a void. So, I'm not going to be introducing a 5-card suit here and volunteering to play in a 5-1 fit. So, for Critter to bid 2 spades, despite the fact that the spades, in the South End were so pretty, there weren't enough of them. So, it really should be, I think if Critter had read my bet as non-forcing, Critter probably would have passed 2 hearts, and I believe that that is the correct bid. Yeah, so if 2 hearts is non-forcing, you shouldn't be really doing it with a 5-card suit. And you should expect your partner to pass when your partner, has a singleton and no special distribution. Yeah, so if I had bid any new suit over the takeout double, it would have been non-forcing. Now, let's talk a bit about the takeout double itself. Now, again, this is a little bit of a matter of personal style rather than right versus wrong, but I personally prefer to pass with firstie's hand, and really that has nothing to do with the fact that I only have 3 hearts. Now, you'd like to have, length in the other major, especially 4 if you can, when you make a takeout double of a major. But if you think that the takeout double promises 4 hearts, that is simply incorrect. However, it is sort of a negative, and there are other negatives about the hand for making a takeout double. One is that the hand is very minimum in terms of high cards. Another is that you're vulnerable. And, normally your partner should expect you to have a little bit more for all of your actions when you're vulnerable. And finally, you're very flat. And actually, that's not final. The final thing is your spade holding is about as bad as it can be. So, while I might make a takeout double of a 1 club opening bid with that hand, I'm not saying I would for sure, I wouldn't be making a takeout double of a 1 spade opening bid. You do force your partner to bid at the 2 level. And you really don't want to be doing that, I don't think, with, such minimum high cards and such bad distribution. So I'm not saying firstie is categorically, wrong to bid double. It's just not my thing. And I think, at least in America, most experts would prefer a pass. So, it's the kind of thing that if you have a serious partnership, you should have agreements about what is the worst hand you can make a takeout double with and decide if this hand fits the parameters or not. Okay, so the prototypical hand for a redouble would be, a balanced hand without, typically a doubleton and partner suit and good defense for the and 10 or more high card points. Now, you don't have to have a balanced hand for sure. You might be 1-4-4-4, for example. But the main message of redouble is, I think we should be defending. And you don't really want to make a strong statement about defending, when you have a highly distributional hand, if you can avoid it. Generally when you have a distributional hand, you'll find that it pays to bid your suits out if you can conveniently do so. So the redouble says, partner, I've got good defense for the other suits, and, maybe we should be doubling them. So you have 10 or more points, and you tend to have length in all the other suits, at least 3 cards, so you tend not to have very many cards in partner suit, just because there aren't that many cards left for you to have. One no trump after the double is, normally played as a hand that would be roughly 8 or 9 points balanced without 3-card support for partner's major. Now, so it's just a natural bid, and it says I have a no trumpy kind of hand. Now, a 6 or 7 point hand, you might also want to bid a no trump, and you might have done that had it gone past. But, nowadays most people seem to think that, when you make what's called a free bid of 1 no trump, that you show a little bit more than, when you do when it's not a free bid. What I mean by free bid is, here when they make a takeout double, you have the alternative of passing. So, when you bid when you don't have to, it's a free bid. Whereas if it goes, 1 spade pass, you can't really pass with 6 or 7 points. You're sort of forced to bid, because your partner might have enough for a game. So, that's what the free bid concept is all about. And, it's sort of common to play that a free bid shows a little bit more than a corresponding non-free bid would. Okay, so here's another good question by Duffer. If you had a 3-card limit raise for partner. Now, probably some of you have heard of the 2 no trump convention when it goes like 1 spade double 2 no trump. I've heard it called Truscott. I've heard it called Dormer. I don't know what the official name of it is, but the basic idea is that 2 no trump over a takeout double suggests a limit raise. Now, there is some case to be made for the 2 no trump bid suggesting, at least 4 trumps in a limit raise. And so if you have a 3-card limit raise, you can describe that. Now, this is only if you make this agreement. You could start by redouble, which normally wouldn't have a fit for partner, and then out of the blue, you can raise partner. So partner will be a bit surprised by this, but since the bid doesn't really have a meaning normally, the idea is, well, I must have 10 points because I redoubled, and I must have a fit because I'm raising, ergo a 3-card limit raise is the expected hand. So, that's a reasonable way to play. But, again, it's a matter of agreement that if you and your partner hadn't discussed it, you may well assume that the 2 no trump is either 3 or 4 trumps. It might also depend on what part of the world you come from, what standard in that area is. Jordan, maybe that's the name of it. Okay. Well, there's a lot of names for that thing. So I'm not going to tell you what an official name of it is, but I think Wayne is right that there are people who call it Jordan. The name is obviously not the most important thing. It's what the convention means and what it shows and what you bid after it, and that your partner knows and is on the same wavelength. But I guess names can make it easier to remember and to discuss. So, if you play with a partner, you can call it Jordan, or you can call it Dormer, or you can call it anything you want. Just make sure that you both know what it means. Okay, I think we're ready for hand number 4. Thanks, everyone. And hello and welcome to my new partner and my new opponents. All right, so I'm not a big believer in opening balanced 11-point hands. I won't say that's a matter of right or wrong, it's just not me. So if two wee ones passes, I am also going to pass. If two wee ones opens the bidding, doesn't matter what two wee ones opens, I'm not doing anything. So you'll find that, good players often will think about these things before it's actually their turn to bid. For one thing, that makes the game go a little faster, but it also makes life easier for your partner because, when your tempo is good, your partner doesn't have to worry about, the, unauthorized information you may be giving them. I hope you may know what that means, because you've hesitated. Now partner feels bound to do something, to be ethical. If you can bid in tempo, all the more power to you. And, one way to ensure you can do that is by, trying to foresee your problems in advance so that you'll be ready when it's your turn to bid. Okay, now here, my partner is overcalled one spade, and I'm certainly going to raise my partner. Just a question of how high. Now, I have a maximum hand for a passed hand, so there is some case to be made for making an aggressive bid here. Perhaps I could bid 3 hearts, for example, if you play that suggests a limit raise or better, which is a pretty sensible and pretty common way to play. I think in this particular case, even though my hand is arguably, in some sense, worth a limit raise, I'm going to take the low road. The reason is that I don't think my Queen of Hearts is really a full value. It's most unlikely that, my Queen of Hearts is worth anything. So, it's not really a 11 high card point hand. The other thing, too, is that if I have the sort of hand that looks like partner may need to, if he's playing in spades, take finesses in the minors, perhaps play for the King of Diamonds or the Ace of Clubs to be on side, and when the opening bidder is over me, the chances of those finesses working go down somewhat. Furthermore, although I do have a pretty nice hand, my trump support isn't that good. It's only 3 to the 10. And, in general, that's a warning sign when you're thinking about whether you should make, an aggressive raise or not. Maybe look at your trump suit as the deciding factor, that the stronger your trump support, the more aggressively you should raise. That's just something that, players learn from experience, and it seems to work pretty well. So, this may be sort of a cowardly action right now, but my instincts and judgment tell me that I should only bid 2 spades here and not 3 hearts as a cue bid. If I'm wrong and if we miss a good game contract, I will certainly apologize to my partner. I'm actually hoping to have a chance to be the dummy because my voice is getting sore already and I could really use a hand where I don't have much to say. So that would be nice if 2 wee ones would pass. I'm normally a quiet person. I think I've probably talked more in the last hour than I, talk in most weeks. Okay, so this is, an area of bidding, competitive part score bidding, that's pretty difficult, and it really is, takes a lot of judgment and experience to get good at it. And, an idea that's become relatively popular, within the last 10 or 15 years is this concept that you may have heard of called the law of total tricks. It's something I won't describe to you in detail. You can, do a web search if you're interested or ask your bridge teacher, but it is a method that can be used to help you improve your judgment on competitive bidding hands. It's not, it's called a law, but law is sort of an overbid. Calling it the principle of total tricks is perhaps more accurate. But the basic idea is that in auctions like these, the main determining factor in how high you should compete is the number of trumps you have. So, if my hand was different and I had 4-card trump support, the law of total tricks would suggest bidding 3 spades here. And similarly, it suggests that despite having a maximum at high cards, that the percentage action is to pass because I have only 3 trumps. Now, that doesn't mean that there's any guarantees that come with this. Like I said, it's not really a law, but it does seem to work pretty well in situations like this. So, both the law of total tricks and my experience as a bridge player suggest to me that while we might make 3 spades and while they might make 3 hearts, I have a better chance of getting a plus score on defense. So I'm just going to pass, and it could be wrong, but I'm going to hope for the best. Partner still is alive, and he can also bid 3 spades if it's right, and it's possible he might be able to do so. But, as expected, 3 hearts has been passed out. Okay, so that looks like an excellent lead from my partner, leading a trump to cut down on dummies roughs. The one thing I'd be a little bit worried about is that diamond suit looks pretty strong, and even though I have 2 diamond stoppers, the diamonds are going to get established eventually, most likely at least, and whatever spade tricks we have, even if we can prevent spade roughs on the dummy, might eventually go away on the diamonds. Still, I'm kind of happy with the lead my partner found. It certainly looks like a better lead for us than, a spade, for example. Now, in trying to count this hand, knowing if your opponents are believers in this law of total tricks thing can help you, and knowing what your partner feels too. For example, the law of total tricks would suggest that if East had 5 hearts or 6 hearts, East should be bidding 3 hearts all on his own. So East probably only has 5 hearts if East believes in this law thing. Similarly, my partner Lukey, if Lukey believes in the law, and if Lukey has 6 spades, Lukey probably would have bid 3 spades because the law says to do so. So that means that Lukey rates to have exactly 5 spades, and there's 1 spade in the dummy, 3 spades in my hand, so Declare has a 4-card spade suit. It's kind of interesting that Declare has chosen to play another trump here. That suggests to me that either Declare's spades are such that, isn't going to try for roughs on the dummy, or maybe Declare is confident about setting up some tricks in the minors. If that's the case, I may have a bit of a rude surprise. It doesn't seem very likely because partner has to have some strength, but actually now that I think about it, and I really should have thought about this earlier, there's not very many high card points that I can't see here. So let's think about this. I have 11 points. Dummy had 10 points. That's already 11 and 10 is 21. My partner has shown up with the Jack of clubs and the King of hearts. So we're up to another 4 points is 25. So there's only, there's not that much left out there that's unaccounted for. Declare has the Ace Jack of hearts. That gets us up to 30. So, that's 10 remaining points to account for both my partner's vulnerable overcall and Declare's opening bid. And I think at least one of them is certainly making a light bid. Now, what inference can I draw about this last trick? I mean, one thing that's likely is Declare probably has a singleton club, because if Declare had more than 1 club, Declare might well have taken the club finesse. So it's beginning to look like Declare's plan might be to play on diamonds eventually. Either that or Declare's spades are such that, roughing spades in the dummy is not going to help, perhaps. Let's see. I'm going to play as high a club as I'm comfortable with there to tell partner that I like clubs. So I may learn something from this next trick, be able to figure out what Declare's plan is. Okay, here comes the Jack of Spades. And this is going to tell me a lot. Okay, so Declare has won the Ace of Spades, and probably is going to ruff a spade in the dummy now. Alright, so, could it matter what spade I play? Let's think about this. Might want to be, this is actually a more complicated situation than you might realize. It also might be less complicated than I'm making it seem. I'm not sure yet, but I'm a little bit worried that I'd like to unblock my 10 of spades to lead spades, through possibly Declare's queen, for example. Then again, let's see, could that be a necessary defense? Well, it's complicated, and I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it. There's also the case that, partner played the 8 of spades, and the 10 will only be a good play if partner has the 9, and, in theory, perhaps the 8 should deny the 9. So, this is really perhaps the only lesson you can learn from this is that even stupid-looking plays like this, can be relatively important. So, I'm going to play the 7 of spades, but I may have egg on my face at the end of the hand if they, turned out to be necessary to play the 10. I don't think that's going to be the case. And I'm guessing, if I'm right about the singleton club in Declare's hand, that Declare will now be roughing a club in order to draw the last trump. The fact that this is taking a little while longer than I might have expected is a bit disquieting. Maybe the hand is not what I was picturing. Okay, the Queen of Clubs. Okay, well, Declare did have a singleton club. So, I'm going to clear up the spade situation for my partner, let partner know what's going on in that suit. I'm actually looking pretty good about defeating this contract. No guarantees yet. Okay. So we actually now, I know we can beat the contract 2 tricks, but I don't think my partner is going to be able to figure it out. I do have a complete count on the hat now. Declare started with 4 spades, 5 hearts, 3 diamonds, and 1 club. My partner still has the trump left, so my partner has a doubleton diamond and a trump, so we could get a diamond ruff, but I don't think there's any way my partner is going to break the diamond suit because my partner has no idea that I have the ace-queen of diamonds, and in fact I rate not to have that given that I didn't really do, very much bidding. So partner could get us an extra trick. It's not happening, and it shouldn't be happening. Meanwhile, I think Declare might be running out of trumps. It looks like we're going to possibly beat this 2 tricks. Because I don't think Declare is going to have time to set up a long diamond trick. Yeah, so, I know now Declare has only 1 trump left, so I'm going to force Declare to play that last trump in a minute. And no matter what Declare's diamonds are, Declare is not getting a diamond trick. My partner defended this hand very well. and I have the last two tricks. So it turned out my partner did not need to get a diamond rough after all, because with me having the ace queen of diamonds, we ended up with the extra trick anyways. So very well done by Lukey. Okay, so let's take a look at the bidding. I was right that, there weren't really enough high cards around for everybody to have a good hand. It turned out that both BJ Mew and Lukey were very minimum for the bidding. BJ Mew's opening bid, to me, is completely the right action in third seat. Third seat, you could shade your openers a bit, and BJ Mew has pretty close to a full opening bid anyways, and a very nice heart suit. So one heart is 100% right. Lukey has a hand that not everybody would overcall with vulnerable, but I think nowadays most experts would do so. Lukey has a light overcall, but because the spades are a pretty good suit, the overcall is quite attractive. So, both BJ Mew and Lukey were light for the bidding. I certainly can't blame two wee ones for bidding onto the 3 level. Two wee ones' hand was like mine in a way, in that it was close to a limit raise. And two wee ones, I guess sensibly, went low the first time the same way that I did. And then whether or not two wee ones was thinking about the law of total tricks, it certainly seems right to compete to 3 hearts. You have, 9 working high card points. Jack of spades is probably not worth much, and a singleton. So, can't blame anyone really on the bidding. It was pretty well judged all the way around that, I guess in spades, turns out we probably make 3 spades, unless West leads the ace of clubs somehow and gives East 2 roughs, which I don't think is going to happen. There's a pretty good chance we're going to make 3 spades, so, it's no disaster for East-West to get a small minus score here. At match points, it's a little dicier that, minus 200, it tends to be a pretty bad score that, but in an imp game, you don't really mind so much that East-West are sort of slated to go minus, so it's, the difference between 140 and 200 is not that big a deal. So, are there any more questions about that board? Yes, at match points we would have done extremely well, because, even if we make 170 in spades, making in the spade partial, making 4, the 200 we got is better than that. So, at match points I would think that, we would get close to a top board. Now, it's not because the opponents bid badly or played badly so much, it's just that, Lukey and I, it turned out we judged well, and my partner found an excellent opening lead and followed it up with perfect defense. So, I think, humbly, I hope, it sounds like I think, we would have earned our good score here. It's not like the opponents handed it to us. Yes. So what Karen is saying, sort of pertains to this law of total tricks thing, that, what it's all about is how many combined trumps there are in the 2 hands. And, there are some rules like those that she's saying that if if both sides have an 8-card fit, the law of total tricks suggests going to the 3 level, over their 2-level bid, if necessary. If your side has a 9-card fit, and the opponents are at the 3 level, it's okay for you to outbid them at the 3 level yourself. It is a complex subject, and it's something that some people feel quite passionate about. If you find this stuff interesting, there's a great book about it by Larry Cohen that sort of explains what it's all about. And, I would strongly suggest that you get a copy of that book. If you're not interested really in reading a whole book, ask a local expert or ask a teacher, and you can get a more full description than what I just gave you. All right. Well, why don't we go to board number 5? All right. So far, an easy bidding problem for me. Again, like I said on the last hand, I'm thinking about what I might do over various actions. Most of the time, I'm, going to pass no matter how the bidding went with a hand this week. If Liz passes, I have to decide whether to pass or not. Now, traditionally, you're supposed to have 6 high card points to respond. You can sometimes do so with a little bit less if you have distribution. I happen to like to sometimes respond light, especially if I'm not vulnerable, but that is something that I will discuss with my regular partners. And since I've never had the pleasure of playing with Sally Alley before, I don't really want to make an unusual bid and have, a worse hand than my partner will expect. So I'm going to do the normal thing, even though, my gut sort of tells me that, bidding 1 spade may well be the percentage action despite having only 4 high card points. If I wasn't vulnerable, I would feel quite strongly that 1 spade was the percentage action here. The main reason for responding light is not so much out of fear that you might make something, although here we might make something, it looks like. It's more a function of making life difficult for the opponents, that it tends to be harder for the opponents to judge what their best contract is if you get into the bidding rather than pass the opening bid. So I'll tell you that, when I'm the dummy, playing real bridge in a tournament, obviously I can't see my partner's hand, but it's still hard for me not to try to piece it together, as the play is going along. It would be better if I could stop myself from doing that, because, you really, when you're the dummy, what you do is not particularly important at all, except to make sure that you don't revoke. It's pretty hard to revoke when you're the dummy, and you really shouldn't be wasting mental energy on, piecing the hand together. So, that being said, as a bridge player, it seems sort of natural to, still, once you get into this habit of counting the hand, when you're not the dummy, it's hard not to do it when you're also the dummy. Now, online bridge, it's totally different because you can see partner's hands. So, the same principles that apply when you're counting the hand as declare, can apply when you're playing online bridge. But, I will say if you're serious about the game and you want to improve your performance, and if you're able to do this, use the time when you're the dummy to relax, because bridge is very demanding as an exercise, and it would be best if you use your mental resources for the hands where you have to do important things, and when you're the dummy, you don't have much important to do. So now, had I bid 1 spade here, my partner, with about 19 points, I guess, let's see, 10, how many points did my partner have? 10, 19 points. Would have bid, 3 or 4 spades. And would we have made that? Well, it's not that far away. I mean, we have a diamond loser and 2 club losers, so it looks like if we can play the trump suit without loss, we might actually make 4 spades on these cards. So, I mean, it turns out I was sort of paying attention. Spades were 4-1, and we didn't have the nine of spades, which makes the hand kind of tricky to play. I think in practice, four spades probably would fail. So I'm kind of glad from that point of view that I didn't respond one spade. But you can see that, even when I have a hand as light as the one that I had, we may well make a game contract even without partner having any, extraordinary distribution. It's all about the fit. It turned out, both my king of spades and the jack of diamonds, the few things I had, were good fitting cards for partner's particular hand. Yeah, I mean that's the other thing. That's a good point by B Tour that at match points you really want to be playing in a spade part score by our cards, with our cards. The problem is that it may not really be possible to get to a spade part score. Okay, that if it goes one diamond past one spade, my partner could be forgiven for bidding four spades. That's what a lot of people would have bid with Sally Alley's hand. So. You want to be in a spade part score, but it may be somewhere that you just can't get to. And, making one diamond is better than going down in four spades. Yeah, that's a good point, Duffer, that, the number of diamonds I had, would sometimes be a factor in deciding whether or not I would, respond to my partner's opening bid. Now, of course, if I have one or zero diamonds, the chances are that I've got, increased, that I have a long suit of my own. And if I have a long suit of my own, the more likely I am going to be to want to bid it. So, I mean, there are some hands with one diamond. If I had no points at all, and I would say 4-4, 1-4 distribution, I would pass one diamond despite having only one diamond, because what I would be afraid of is I think there's a pretty good chance that partner's going to rebid 2-no trump. It's likely that partner has an 18 or 19 balance point hand here. And, I certainly, I don't want to play in 2-no trump. Now, I don't want to play in one diamond either, but, it is, maybe partner will be able to scramble some tricks at the one level, but a hand like that will play just awful in no trump. Yeah, I'm in general not a big fan of rescuing partner. Sometimes when partner gets doubled, I will then think about it. But, as a general rule, I let partner sort of worry about him or herself, and if partner makes a non-forcing bid, I don't usually consider it my business to correct the contract unless I've got a lot of distribution of my own. Any more questions, or should we go on to the next one? I guess I can. Here's an instructive point now that I'm looking at all the cards. I think Lady Star probably should not have played the Queen of Spades at trick one here. That, in general, under leading aces, especially against suit contracts, is not something that one goes out of their way to do, and it certainly isn't something that you see very often when the bidding goes one of something, pass, pass, pass. So Lady Star can be pretty sure that Sally Alley has the ace of spades, and if that's the case, then playing the Queen of Spades cannot be a winning play. Now, on the actual hand, it probably didn't matter, which spade Lady Star played. But let's say, hypothetically, Liz had led the three of spades from 3 to the jack. Now it might well matter, and playing the 9 of spades, will, in that case, force declare's ace, whereas playing the Queen of spades, would allow declare to take a finesse against, Liz's hypothetical jack. So, it probably didn't matter on this hand, but, that's something that you should be thinking about, I think. Another interesting point, now that I can see all the hands, is Liz's decision over one diamond. There are certainly players that would overcall two clubs with Liz's hand. And, I kind of like her decision to pass. For one thing, it's nice to have a six-card suit for a two-level overcall. I'm not saying it's necessary, but it's nice, and especially when your five-card suit is not that strong. Another good thing about Liz's hand is there's a pretty good chance that the opponents will be bidding and raising spades, in which case you'll now be able to make a takeout double to suggest hearts and clubs. Now, it didn't actually work out that way, but, that will happen a fair percentage of the time. So, it's not that I hate the two-club overcall or anything, but I think the pass is, pretty well judged. And if I was vulnerable, I certainly would think that the pass, is a clear bid. That for me, Liz's hand is certainly not worth a vulnerable two-level overcall. The only thing I could say in favor of overcalling really here is that experience suggests that when they open one diamond and you bid two clubs, that's a pretty effective overcall, that it does make life a little bit hard for the opponents because it's sort of, in a way, a preemptive bid. But, I am stretching a bit. I have to admit that I think I would probably pass if I had Liz's hand. All right. I think we're ready for hand number 6. So here's the sort of hand that, with less than 6 points, 6 high card points, I certainly would be responding to partner's opening bid. Not being vulnerable is a big part of it, and having a little distribution helps as well. Definitely very much not my style to be even thinking about overcalling here. There are some players, believe it or not, who basically never pass, when they have a chance to make a one-level overcall, even with a hand in a suit as bad as mine. I am not one of those players. And I'm not saying that the style is bad, it's just not the way I learned to play bridge. So, here, what I would be doing is, it looks pretty clear that Sandy and I are going to be out of the auction, and it seems likely the opponents, may actually take a little while before they get to whatever they get to. Once it becomes a little bit more clear whether they rate to be playing in a suit contract or no trump, I'm going to start thinking a little bit more about, my opening lead, so that should I end up being on opening lead, I will be prepared, hopefully, when the time comes that, I'm going to know what to do. Oh, now that was not expected. Very much not expected. When you have such a weak hand as I do, and your partner's a passed hand, for the opponents to be playing at the one level is quite unusual. Now, Sandy doesn't know that I have such a weak hand, so it may be the case that Sandy is going to think about bidding here. Presumably Sandy has somewhere around 10 points, because Sandy had any more than, or any less than that, it would be really, really strange that the opponents had stopped so low. So, with 10 points, Sandy might be thinking, I'm not going to be selling out to a one-level contract. Sandy just has no way to know that, the opponents are on the verge of having the points to make game. So I'm hoping Sandy's going to pass, but I'm not going to be surprised if Sandy chooses to balance here with, oh, all right, well, so that's good. Okay, now, what to lead? Well, in general, I'm a big fan of leading singletons. Here, maybe not. Reasons being, first of all, that I probably have a trump trick, and when you have a trump trick, don't necessarily to get roughs, especially if in doing so you play a suit the declarer is going to have to play themselves. So, I mean, I wouldn't criticize the 10 of clubs lead too severely, but my instinct suggests that, it's pretty questionable. Now, that being said, it's not like there's any other suit that I'm like dying to lead or anything. I don't want to lead a spade away from my king. I'm certainly not leading a trump away from my queen. So I think despite the fact that duffer bid diamonds, I'm probably just going to lead a diamond here and, hope that that doesn't blow any tricks. Let declare do whatever work declare has to do. It's probably not realistic to think we're going to beat this contract just because of what I said before. I have so few points and my partner couldn't open the bidding and the opponents are only at the one level. So, really what I'm trying to do is, hopefully we'll just be able to get whatever tricks we have coming to us, and I'll let declare play the club suit themselves and, go from there. So I'm hoping that a diamond won't, blow anything too seriously. Okay, so now I think if I was duffer with that hand, I would have gone back to 2 clubs, even though Moonjon might well have only a 3-card club suit. The reason being is that the 1 heart rebid here covers a lot of ground. If Moonjon jumps to 2 hearts, that's a game-forcing bid. And to make this sort of game-forcing bid, you really need the equivalent of about 19 high card points. So, Moonjon could well have 17 or 18 points from Duffer's point of view. All right, well, in a way, what happened here is not expected, and it may not be great that we set up the Queen of Diamonds, but it also could be the case that declare has nothing particularly useful to discard. And meanwhile, we've started to make declare use some of the trumps. So it's not like I'm unhappy with my opening lead right now, even though it may look a bit bad. So anyways, back to the point is that as duffer, I would want to keep the bidding alive in case my partner was, just under a jump shift. So I would bid 2 clubs to give my partner, another chance to move towards game with, say, 17 or a bad 18 points. All right. So one of the other things about not leading a singleton club is sometimes declarer will not play you to have a singleton because they will think if he had a singleton, surely he would have led that suit. So it wouldn't be completely surprising to me if that works out well for us. Here, it's going to be very hard for declare to know that, playing a very low club is the way to go. So, it looks like Moonjon has done well to finesse the 9 clubs. That's what it looks like anyways. Okay, so now what to return? Now, partner knew that I was getting a rough. The 4 of clubs might be one of those suit preference signals, asking for a low card. However, partner might not know what the count of the club suit is. I do happen to know here that declare has at least 5 clubs. The reason I know that is because declare has to have some 5-card suit, and the reason I know that is because declare roughed the first trick, and there's no such thing as a 4-4-0-4 hand. Okay, so once declare shows up with a void in one suit, they must have at least 5 cards in some other suit, and that suit has to be clubs, because if declare had a 5-card major, they would be opening the major instead of clubs. Now, it is possible declare might have 5 of a major and 6 clubs, 5 going to just return a diamond here. I, again, don't want to lead a spade away from the king, and it looks like our best chance on defense is to threaten Declare's trump control by continuing to make him rough things. So even though I'm giving Declare a trick and an entry that he might not easily be able to get himself, it looks like this is in the long-term best interest of the defense. So, you know, I don't know for sure if this is right. It's hard for me to think too carefully while I'm talking so much, but I think it looks good to play another diamond here. As for what diamond to play, I led my fourth best, and I'm certainly not going to continue with my fifth best. Partner already has a count in the diamonds, and I don't need to tell Declare how the diamonds are breaking. So whether I should lead the 10, 9, or 7, that's open to interpretation, but I certainly should not lead the 4. I guess there is some case for my diamond here being a suit preference signal. Partner already knows what the diamonds are. Okay, so good. I'm pretty glad that I didn't get involved in playing spades. It looks like Declare wanted to play spades himself. So I'm happy with how this is all going. And I'm just going to plug away with the diamonds again. And I'm hoping that at some point Declare will start to have roughing with high trumps. Not yet, apparently. If Declare has the ace-king of trump, another diamond ruff will be very good for us. Another thing, too, is if Declare has the ace-king of trumps, the defense is, or the other side is pretty close to making 3-note trump, it looks like. Not that that is really relevant to how I should be defending, and I really shouldn't be thinking right now about whether they make 3-note trump or not. All right. Now, unfortunately, our side also doesn't have too many trumps left. So, you know, it's not like I can really hope that we're going to beat 2 hearts. But it looks like we're doing about as well as we probably could have done. Yeah, so at least, you know, partner is going to get another heart trick. And that looks like it'll be the last trick we get. Because the clubs are all good. So John played that quite well there. John did something that you often see as good technique on hands like this. He played on his side suit early in the hand, and that proved to be an important play. So, you know, when your trump suit is a bit shaky, it sometimes, often actually, is best to play on the side suit immediately. Now, looks like the opponents are very close to making 5 clubs. And as I sort of could tell from the bidding, you know, John did have just under the strength for a game-forcing jump shift. You know, there are a lot of inexperienced players that would bid 2 hearts with John's hand, and that is not the right call. It is right to bid only one heart and hope that your partner has a chance to bid again. The thing to remember about the two-heart bid is it's forcing the game. And even though John had a beautiful hand, he didn't have a strong enough hand to force the game opposite a one-level response. Okay, so, the textbooks say you're supposed to have 19 high card points for two hearts in a situation like that. If you have, extreme playing strength, you can do it with somewhat less than that. But, with John's actual hand, my personal view is that two hearts would be quite an overbid, and that, one heart is the clearly right call. Whether or not five clubs makes, it's not completely clear, but it is, you can see, a pretty good contract. The fact that the spade finesse loses makes it a little bit harder to play in five clubs, but I still think five clubs in practice would probably succeed, as long as you play it carefully. Three no trump might also make, but in no trump, there's two relevant finesses that are wrong for you, the spade finesse and the diamond finesse. So I think a diamond lead might well defeat three no trump. Okay, so if Duffer had bid something, Redbird is saying John could jump bid. Okay. There's actually no reason for John to jump bid because, well, let's think about how the bidding might continue. Suppose Duffer had gone back to two clubs, which is, as I said earlier, a bid I kind of like. Now John can bid two spades. And, even though that's the fourth suit, spades in this case, this bid shouldn't be confused with the fourth suit forcing convention. Two spades here is basically a natural bid. It says that, I have obviously extra points, because if you didn't, you would just pass two clubs. And it describes a hand with length in spades. Now, you don't always have to have four spades for that bid. You might only have three spades. But, it's a natural type of bid. Similarly, if Duffer with a different hand, let's say had bid one no trump, again, John doesn't have to jump. John can just bid two spades, again, by inference, showing a really strong hand with some spades, because there's nothing else that he could have that would make a bid like two spades make any sense. If he was weak, he would just pass one no trump, and if he was strong with, different distribution than a hand with spade length, he would make a natural bid in some other suit. He would jump rebid his clubs, or with 6-5 in hearts and clubs, he would bid hearts again, or with diamond length, he would bid two diamonds or three diamonds. So when when the opener voluntarily bids the fourth suit there, the implication is that you have a strong hand with length in the fourth suit. So it's a natural bid showing extra values, and you really don't have to jump there. I hope that made sense. Okay, apparently it made sense. Good. John, you played that well. Congratulations. All right, well, I have a remarkable number of points here. Looks like I've got 23 high card points. Fantastic. All right, so, well, I'm going to start by opening two clubs. That part's easy enough. The question will be, what do I bid next? So, I think two no trump suggests a balanced hand with about this many points. And I have a 5-card heart suit, so I also could bid two hearts. Now, all right, that does complicate things. One of the reasons it complicates things is because this is the first hand, as far as I know, that Donna and I have ever played together, so I don't really know what her pass means, and she may not know what my bid means, whatever I happen So, in a situation like this, I would tend to go out of my way to try to keep it simple. So, there might be some argument for saying that double by me should be a takeout double. And if you make that argument, there may be some case to be made that that's the best bid with my hand. But I have no particular reason to believe that my partner would feel that way about a double, and I do not want to have a bidding misunderstanding here. So I know that if I bid 2-no trump, partner will know what I've got, and I know if I bid 3 hearts, partner will know that I've got hearts. So it really becomes a question of, what bid do I think better describes my hand? Now, I'd like to have one more spade for some semblance of a second stopper to bid 2-no trump here. But it's still, to me, this feels like a no trump hand, and I have a bit too many holes to feel comfortable about opening 2 clubs, and then bidding my major, especially since I have only a 5-card major. So, my judgment suggests to bid 2-no trump. I wish I had the 2 of spades instead of the 2 of clubs, but you got to play with what you're dealt. So I'm going to bid 2-no trump, see what happens. So as you can see, Bambi's interference over our 2 clubs has created some uncertainty in a new partnership that, like the one that Donna and I have. So, that's not to suggest that you should go crazy and start bidding every time your opponents open 2 clubs. But, do keep in mind that, obviously you're taking a risk of bidding when your opponents are showing a strong hand. But one reward that you may receive for your risk is that the opponents may be in uncharted waters if they haven't played much together before. So, always nice to thank partner, of course, even though on this particular hand we didn't get to a very good contract. We obviously belong in hearts. Even 6 hearts is a pretty good spot. Very hard to bid because we don't really have the points to be there and the hands fit perfectly. And in the meanwhile, I might not make 3-no trump. If Bambi led the king from the king-queen of spades, I'm going to be fine. But otherwise, I only have 8 top tricks. So this could be a real disaster. And, you may criticize my bidding, you may criticize Donna's bidding, but really it's Bambi that deserves credit for this possible victory for, putting us in a situation that we weren't familiar with. I don't think we would have had this problem if Bambi had passed. All right, fingers crossed. Uh-oh. Okay, now, the one thing I do have going for me is that Bambi doesn't know that I don't have any more spade stoppers. And Bambi may not know what to discard when I run my hearts. So I'm not counting on it, but, you don't give up on hands like these by just playing the king of diamonds. I'm going to, run my hearts and hope Bambi has some trouble with the discards. So one thing you definitely shouldn't do in a situation like this is to get upset at your partner. Not only is that an extremely rude thing to do, but it lets the opponents know that you're unhappy with your contract, and you really do not want to tell the opponents that. Because it will allow them to draw inferences about your hand that they wouldn't otherwise know. So, just sit there with a smile on your face. Don't make it too misleading a smile, because that wouldn't be really within the rules. And just just pretend that it's just a normal contract. Don't get upset. You'll also find bridge is more fun if you don't get upset. Okay, so meanwhile, Bambi's pitched a spade. So, if another spade gets pitched, I might well have a chance. See, Bambi doesn't know what I have in clubs, and it looks like, she's done the right thing by discarding a club. But that might not be such an easy play, from holding like 3 clubs to the queen, because from Bambi's point of view, I might well have the jack of clubs. Okay, so my only hope now is that the defenders make a mistake, because if I've been counting spades, I know that they still have enough spades that if they do everything right, they're going to be able to beat me. So what I'll do is I'll play a diamond and just hope for the best, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to try to make my game contract anyways. Might as well lead the queen in case Bambi has some doubt about the position of the king. I haven't really been focusing that much, but I think it looked like OK Maga discarded a bunch of diamonds, or at least 2. I think that suggests that Bambi should know who's got the king of diamonds. But still, it can't hurt to play a deceptive queen here. Keep Bambi a little bit perhaps in the dark about the position of the king. Okay, alright, well, another spade discard means that I am still alive. I guess I assumed Bambi had the ace of diamonds because of the vulnerable 2-level bid. Now I just have to hope Bambi didn't start with, 7 spades. And it looks like she did, so I'm down 1. Okay, so Donna, we were in a tough position there because of the newness of our partnership and because of the fact that this was sort of an unusual auction with the opponents interfering over our 2 spades, with the 2-spade bid over 2 clubs. Yes, you should bid Stayman, I think, because I think you should probably assume that we use the same system here as we would if it had gone like 2 clubs, 2 diamonds, 2 no trump, which presumably includes Stayman. Now, that being said, my bidding was hardly automatic. I could have bid 3 hearts instead of 2 no trump. I knew that the spade suit might well be a danger, and so I certainly can't give you I'm going to take some of the blame for us not getting to the best spot here, and I'm going to give Bambi most of the credit that we failed to do so. So really the best lesson of this hand is that if you can put the opponents in unfamiliar situations in the bidding, they're going to get some of them wrong. And even practice partnerships will get some of them wrong. So, applause to Bambi for a gutsy 2-spade bid. Okay, a question of what double would mean if Donna had doubled 2 spades. Well, I don't know if there's any clear standard there. It's really a matter of agreement. I think, in a simple world anyways, in absence of discussion, it would probably be a penalty double, based on the principle that, undiscussed bids are natural, and the natural interpretation of double here would be for penalty. That being said, it's quite common to play at the expert level at least, a convention where the double says, I have a terrible hand, and where pass means I have some points. I've also heard people do it the other way around, where pass says I have a terrible hand, and double means I have some points. So I'm sorry I don't have a definitive answer. Really, it's something that if you have a serious partnership, you want to discuss. What do we do if they bid over our 2-club opening bid? That's really all I can say. She could conceivably bid 3 spades, and that would make it even harder for us. The only thing about 3 spades is when you jump to the 3-level vulnerable, when the opponents are showing a strong hand, you really want to have a better suit than the one that Bambi had. So, I would say that if with King, Queen, Jack, 10/7 of spades, 3 spades would be more attractive. For me, it's a little too aggressive to bid 3 spades at, being vulnerable with this particular hand. I'm sure there are good players who would disagree with that. Yeah, so if Donna had bid something like, say, 2-no trump or 3 clubs over the 2-spade bid, those would have all been natural bids. So 3 clubs would not be stem, and 3 clubs would be a club showing bid. Now, Donna's hand is not appropriate for bidding 3 diamonds. Her diamond suit is not good enough, anywhere near good enough to do that. That it would be unusual to play the 3 clubs over the 2 spades as anything other than clubs. And I mean, the 2-no trump is kind of a strange bid, but I would expect that just to be natural. It would be some balanced hand with some points and a spade stopper. The Q bid of 3 spades, good question. I don't think it's a bid I've ever heard before. If my partner did that, I would either, I guess I would think my partner had a 3-suited hand short in spades. Probably 0, 4, 4, 5, 1, 4, 4, 4, something like that. If my partner had anything other than that, I would think my partner was being too imaginative, probably. Yeah, so to show hearts, if you have a good 5-card heart suit, you can bid 3 hearts. Otherwise, you just pass or double, depending on your partnership agreement, and it's not going to get passed out because your partner opened 2 clubs, and, subsequently, you can hopefully find your heart fit. So, yeah, you don't want to get involved in, directly over the 2 spades, bidding 4-card suits or showing 4-card suits, majors or minors. It doesn't matter. You let, with the balanced hands or the hands facing balanced hands, you just want to sort of let things take their natural course. Yeah, that is a good question. I'm using the hand distribution a lot. I'm saying things like 0, 4, 4, 5, 1, 4, 4, 4. It may sound completely like gibberish to you, and it's completely natural to me. My brain just works that way. And you will find that any really serious bridge player who's, competes in major tournaments, their brain works that way too. So, yes, if you want to be like a bridge superstar one day, you're going to have to make it second nature in your brain to be able to think about hand patterns in that way. I wouldn't feel too bad if you're a beginner or an intermediate and you can't do it yet. The time will come when it just sort of happens naturally. But believe me, yes, thinking about distributions is a key part to advancing at this game. There are some software products and websites that can help you learn how to do that. Yeah, in response to Redbird, I think Donna's pass of 2 spades was a completely correct choice. I completely agree with that. I just think we were sort of on an uneven footing after my 2-no trump, and she was either afraid to bid Stamen or didn't think it was a Stamen situation. But I completely agree with her pass. Yeah. Okay, let's do board 7. And let's hope that our opponents aren't as nasty as Bambi was on board 6. 8, I guess. Love Kangaroo's name. One of the better BBO IDs I've seen recently. So, hand is pretty close to a one-no trump opening, but not quite. And meanwhile, the opponents are making my life difficult again. So, well, I have 14 high card points. One of them, the Jack of Clubs, is probably not worth very much. If I had some more distribution, I would be bidding 3 diamonds here. But with this particular hand, my judgment suggests that pass is the percentage action. I certainly can't make a takeout double with a small doubleton in hearts. And, it is possible that 3 clubs will get passed out when we have a good contract our way. But it's also possible that if I bid 3 diamonds, either I'm going to get doubled, which I will not like at all, or that we will, get to some contract that has no play. I really would like to have more playing strength for a 3-level overcall. So, may look strange to pass with 14 points in a pretty good suit, but that's what I'm going to do. This hand looks, pretty good defensively to me and not so good offensively. Now I'm kind of happy I passed that, the 3 heart bid by most of the world is a forcing bid, so Kangaroo might not know that, but if NT Limitless knows that, then presumably there's a pretty decent hand over there in the east seat. So I'm glad I didn't get involved in the bidding. Okay, it looks like my partner found a nice opening lead, going through Declare's King of Spades. Now, I think in order to defeat the contract, probably is best for me to switch to a trump. I can see that with the singleton diamond, doubleton trump, and the dummy, that if I don't do that, on some hands Declare will want to be to rough diamonds in the dummy, and I have the ace king of diamonds. So I may well be able to stop diamond roughs. Now, the danger is that Declare might have ace doubleton of clubs, or ace third, I suppose, in which case leading a trump will possibly allow Declare to, eventually just draw trump and run the clubs. Now, that may well be the case, but if it is the case, I don't think it's likely we were going to beat the contract anyways. So if I lead a trump, Declare may well take the rest of the tricks and make, 12 tricks in total. But I think if I want to try to beat 3 hearts, I better be doing this. So a trump it is. Even if Declare has the ace of clubs, if it's a singleton ace, that's pretty good for us. So, although Declare's confident play suggests that it might be more than a singleton ace. Okay, well, the fact that Declare is continuing to play on spades is a good sign for us. Presumably Declare doesn't have the ace of clubs doubleton, or else Declare would have, generally been trying to run the clubs. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cash the king of diamonds, and then I'm just going to get out of my hand in spades and, let things fall where they may eventually in the diamond suit. I guess there's some danger that partner won't know as much about the hand as I do, but we really don't want to be playing too many diamonds here in case Declare something like 3 to the jack in diamonds. We'd rather cash 1 diamond and then let Declare play the other diamonds himself. So I'm going to, cash one diamond and then just play a spade. I think it looked like partner probably has the jack of spades, but I'm not sure about that. Look, the 7 was led, then the 9. So if partner led a small card from 3, then the only one that makes sense left is the jack. Maybe partner had 5 spades. Okay. Well, I'm still kind of happy with how the defense is going. And might as well tell partner how many clubs I have just in case it matters. If the hand is as I think it might be, then you could see that it may well have been important for me to, do what I did in diamonds, not, go crazy in the diamond suit. Okay, well, it didn't matter because partner had very strong diamonds. Alright, so now I know Declare didn't have any clubs at all, because he has 7 hearts, 4 diamonds, and 2 spades. Now, good news is we're beating 3 hearts. Bad news is we may well have made 4 spades. So, let's think about that. I mean, in spades, it looks like we're pretty close to making 4. That is true. Maybe not. I don't know necessarily how we can ever get into the spade suit, with the bidding starting this way, but, this is another one of those examples that even though 3 hearts went down, it's no tragedy for the other side because, in theory at least, we can make spades at least a part score. So, let's go back to the bidding, though, again for a second. Kangaroo, that she was a relatively new player, so she might not know this, and it isn't true for everybody, but I think the standard treatment here is that when you open a preempt and your partner bids a new suit below the game level, that's a forcing bid. So in theory, Kangaroo should not have been passing 3 hearts here, because 3 hearts should be a forcing bid. Now, that raises the problem of what do you do with a hand like East, because East has such beautiful hearts, but doesn't really want to get involved in forcing the bidding very high. So, East has the sort of hand that you really want 3 hearts to be non-forcing. You can't really expect to make that many tricks with the East hand opposite a club preempt. So, East must have been pretty happy the way the bidding actually went. And, so there's some interest there, and then, back to the point of, let's think about what would have happened if I had bid 3 diamonds. Now East has sort of a different problem, may or may not have bid 3 hearts. If East had passed, then I suspect that Liza would have probably passed also with only 7 points, so we might well have played 3 diamonds. Otherwise, yeah, so it doesn't really look like we were realistically going to be able to find our spade fit no matter what happened once West opened 3 clubs. Okay, so Kangaroo wants to know what she should bid if she reads the 3-heart bid as forcing. I think you're probably supposed to bid 4 hearts, believe it or not. You don't like to raise with a small doubleton in this situation, but, sometimes it's the least of evils. And, you do have a singleton in the side suit. An alternative is to, rebid your club suit. If you'd like, my personal judgment suggests that you should probably bid 4 hearts. Now, you could get a bit tricky, try to bid 3 spades, because you do have, some points in spades. That's something you could think about. With a slightly different hand, say a singleton heart and a doubleton queen of diamonds, you might try 3-note trump to suggest you've got a little bit of something in the side suits. So, it's sometimes preempts don't only make life difficult for the opponents, they make life difficult for both you and your partner as well. So it's sort of, I think I've read about 100 times in various bridge books that a preempt is like a two-edged sword. Sometimes you're the one that gets cut by it, and sometimes you're the one that isn't left with a perfect bid after your side makes a preempt. Event host 4 says some play raise only non-forcing. That ROMF acronym, as I understand it anyways, and I could be wrong, I normally see it on the part of the convention card where people talk about their week 2 bids, not so much the 3-level preempts. So for me, when someone says we play ROMF or raise only non-forcing, that pertains specifically to responding to a week 2 bid that a new suit is forcing. Maybe some people extend that to 3 bids as well and use the same acronym, but I've never really heard it used that way before. Now, I'm not really an expert on the nomenclature of conventions and things, so don't take my word for it, but that's how I understand it. Kanga was wondering if they could make 3-note trump. I'm afraid not, because you don't have a diamond stopper. Now, I would have to lead a high diamond as opposed to a low one to beat 3-note trump, so, oh no, you still only have 8 tricks, even if I lead a low diamond, 7 hearts, and a diamond. So, yeah, you really don't want to be in 3-note trump on those cards. I mean, you got to about as good a contract as you could hope for once the 3 clubs was opened. But, the thing is, Kangaroo, I'm not sure what your partner was thinking about the nature of the 3-heart bid, but because 3 hearts is forcing, it will often be a better hand than, your partner actually had. So, let's say your partner has an ace in addition to the actual hand. Now you are pretty close to making, 3-note trump, and if the hands fit well, if it's the ace of clubs, for example, you're pretty close to making 4 hearts. Okay, let's do board 9. Yeah, if you want to see the hand after it's being played, assuming you're using the web version, click the My Results thing on the right side. It's like a tab on the very right of your screen, and you can see all the hands we've played. Okay, so in contrast to the very first board we played, for those of you who are still here, this is what I would call a good balanced 12-point hand. And what this hand has going for it is my 5-card suit is wonderful this time as opposed to pretty awful the last time. And most of my high cards are in aces and kings as opposed to having a lot of queens and jacks. So here's the 12-point hand I'm very happy to open, in contrast to the very first board we played where I wasn't particularly thrilled about a 12-point opening with a 5-card suit. So, as much as I like my hand for opening the bidding, I don't have anywhere near the kind of hand I would need to take a second call. To bid anything or to double here would suggest either, good distribution or substantial extras in high cards, and unfortunately I have neither. So, looks like we're going to be defending. Okay, now, I guess any suit could be right, but I'm going to certainly lead a high diamond. One of the advantages of doing that is hopefully I'll still be on lead at the end of trick one, and hopefully I'll have a better idea of what I should do next. I don't really know what people are leading in terms of ace from ace king or king from ace king. I hope that the ace is still pretty close to standard. It was when I was, when I was learning, and I think it probably still is. So hope my partner will forgive me if he or she is expecting a king lead from this holding. Okay, so that is a somewhat atypical dummy for a takeout double there. My choice would have been a 2-club overcall with that distribution. And I'm also guessing that I am not going to have any idea what to play next. There are serious partnerships will have agreements here about when you lead, an ace or king and there's a singleton in the dummy, what the signal means. Is it a count signal? Is it an attitude signal? Is it a suit preference signal? We obviously, I'm not in a serious partnership here with Real Rowdy, so we've never discussed this. In a normal high-level game, I would have a much better idea to what the hands looked like and what my partner wanted me to do, because the 2 of diamonds would go some way towards telling me that. But here, it's really impossible for me to know, what the 2 of diamonds is all about. One thing that is disturbing about the hand, I can tell you, is it looks like the club suit, at first glance doesn't look particularly solid, since it, starts with the ace-king and then has a bunch of spot cards. But if you look at those spot cards carefully, you'll see that the 3rd spot card, the 9, is higher than all 3 of my spot cards. And that is worrisome, because it means that even if Declare has the smallest outstanding singleton club, that would be the 10, I guess. My partner has the queen jack doubleton, and the clubs are all going to be good, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So, Declare may not know, of course, that the clubs are running, but I can see that they are. I may just be, though, biding my time, because it's not like, that knowledge suggests any clear course of action. It may suggest doing something like just taking my ace of hearts, because otherwise Declare's may well take a massive number of tricks if I don't do that. Something else to think about is that, let's say that I play the king of diamonds hypothetically, and I force the Declare to ruff in the dummy. I may start to build a trump trick for my partner that, depending on how the play goes, I don't think this is too likely, but say my partner has 4 spades to the 9. All right. Now, if I let Declare draw trump, Declare can play the king, the queen, the jack, and later play the ace. My partner's 4 trumps will all be gone. But if I make the dummy rough, if my partner has 4 to the 9, that will make the 9 into a winner, because the jack will, is a high one and will be gone. So, I don't think that's particularly likely, that that's the layout. Declare probably has better or longer spades than 4 for this bid. But, that's just one example of how continuing diamonds might be a good defense here. I guess another approach is I could shift to a club. I could hope that my partner has the ace of spades and a singleton club, so maybe my partner will be able to win a trump, put me in with a heart, and get a club rough. That's another possibility to think of. But really, I don't think any of these possibilities are particularly likely, to defeat 3 spades, no matter what the hand is. can tell you that I think leading a trump now is basically giving up. That as long as declare has 5 trumps, it's probably not going to be good for us to play a trump. I guess partner may well be able to, if somehow partner has the ace of trump, play something through declare and maybe then make dummy rough, but I'm sort of grasping at straws. So I think, rightly or wrongly, I'm going to take the position that I'm going to take my ace of hearts and just hope for the best that, I may be setting up declare's hearts, but I'm just going to hope it's one of those hands that if I don't take the ace of hearts that, declare is basically going to claim. So, I wish there was some more attractive thing to do besides try to hold declare to 4 or 5, but that's all I can think of. Now here I expect partner. Oh, partner likes hearts. All right, so I'm happy about that. So here the signal is going to be attitude. Yay, partner is the king of hearts. Okay, so now declare pretty much has to have the ace of spades because there's, just not enough high cards out really to justify a jump to 2 spades without having the ace of spades. Okay, and it looks like partner is smartly, is now making dummy rough. Which looks like, probably a good play. So I am expecting declare to get this hand over with now pretty quickly. It's a funny hand in that I might be thinking about it differently if the 8 and the 9 of clubs were exchanged. So that looks a lot like doubleton queen of clubs. And it looks like I did a good thing, that it really was all about over tricks. Or maybe not. Alright. Maybe my idea of shifting to a club was the best defense. No, I guess not. Declare because declare has the 9 of spades instead of the 8, declare will see my 10 and be able to overtake and make more tricks. Okay. Okay. So in any case, I think the most important lesson to learn on this hand is how Louise should be bidding her hand. All right, I mentioned something about this earlier, about the takeout double. When you make a takeout double, you should either have quite a lot of points, or you should have like decent support for all of the unbid suits. And Louise doesn't have that many points, and she only has a doubleton in one of the unbid suits, hearts. So it's, really better here for Louise to just overcall 2 clubs. If you're thinking, well, why wouldn't she bid 3 clubs as a preempt? Well, the hand is really too strong to bid 3 clubs. That, if you get rid of the king, queen, jack of spades, now you might want to bid 3 clubs. But, with a sound, opening bid in high cards, you want to make a 2-level overcall, and, maybe you'll bid 3 clubs again by yourself if it seems like the right thing to do later. So no, B2er, when you make a takeout double and then voluntarily bid a suit by yourself, it's not about playing strength. It says you've got a lot of high card points. I mean, it's good to have playing strength as well, but, your partner should really expect, 16 or more high card points. It's too dangerous to get involved with, doubling on one-suited hands with playing strength, because now partner will, sometimes get carried away. They'll play you for like 16 or 17 points, and, with a misfitting hand and say an 8 points, they're going to, drive it to game, or 8 or 9 points, they're going to drive it to game, and you're not going to belong there. So, yeah, you really should have more in terms of high cards for double and then bid your suit. Well, So let's talk about West's two-spade bid. So I think, two spades is certainly a reasonable bid. West wants to do something forward going because West has 10 points and West might have had 0 points. So the idea of jumping here to say to partner, hey, I've got quite a bit more than you might expect from me, is a good thought. Now, it is the case that one doesn't normally like to jump around too much, with a pretty awful 4-card suit here. But the only alternative is to bid, no trump, I guess. And, a lot of players would not feel comfortable about doing that with a 4-card major, especially when, the takeout double tends to emphasize the majors. So, there are some experts that would advocate bidding 1 no trump, believe it or not, over the double with West's hand, that they like to play that the 1 no trump is sort of a value showing bid. But, it can't be too critical of 2 spades. And, if you looked at a textbook, not too many years ago, 2 spades would be close, the actual West hand would be not that far from a, perfect example hand for a textbook. Thinking has evolved a bit in this area, but it's still, kind of on the fringes, I would say. Now, should South perhaps bid a heart over the takeout double? That is another good question. I would say that is a pretty reasonable bid, only because, it is a stretch in terms of high cards, but the heart suit is quite nice. It's a 5-card suit, and you're not vulnerable. So these are things that sort of favor bidding. I think 2 hearts bidding 1 heart as South over a double is reasonable. I don't think it's crazy to pass or anything, but I think I probably would have bid 1 heart if it was me. Okay, so if West had a singleton club, then second club play cuts entries. That is true, but let's follow how the play would go if I had shifted to a club at trick 2, something that I was thinking about. Okay, so Declare would win the ace of clubs, and Declare would cash 2 of dummy spades and see my 10 doubleton of spades drop. So now Declare would know that it's safe to overtake the jack of spades with the ace and play the 9, okay, and, discard a heart from the dummy and run all the clubs. So it turns out it was very, close. If you exchange the 9 and 8 of spades, it's a different story. A club shift comes close to being effective, but on this particular hand, it holds Declare to, it allows Declare to make 11s tricks instead of 10. And if West had a singleton club, then the second club play could cut the entry. That might be the case, but if Declare has a singleton club, Declare probably has 5 spades. Declare doesn't need the club entry so much because Declare now will have trump entries, can draw all the trumps ending in the dummy. Okay, well, I think that's probably enough for one day. Thanks everyone for coming, and particular thanks to my partners and opponents. I thought everyone played really well and the hands were interesting, so thank you to our computer programs for shuffling so nicely. And Maureen, everyone loves you, and thanks so much for all you do for our site and for Bridge. Happy anniversary.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much, Fred, for a fantastic session and for allowing me the privilege of being able to provide these learning opportunities on BBO for these past 10 years. Do hope your throat isn't too sore after this long session. Thank you, Joan, Event Host 1, and Babs, Event Host 4, for your assistance today and for all the work you are doing to prepare for the BIL's 10th birthday celebrations throughout September. Thanks also to Sandy57 and Ian Douglas who are also putting in a great deal of time and effort to bring a host of interesting tournaments and team matches throughout September to mark this special occasion. Thanks, Fred. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you, everyone. I think it's time I closed the table and went and had my breakfast. Bye.